According to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, 6.7% of the U.S., or around 16.1 million adults, are diagnosed with major depressive disorder each year. This can be caused by mood regulation in our brain, genetics, stress, medical problems, or even medications. The effects of depression affect not only the diagnosed, but also the family, and symptoms can even lead to suicide. According to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, in 2016, suicide was the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S., and 121 people committed suicide a day. That's 14 out of 100,000 people dying of suicide. This is why depression needs to be talked about more, and its symptoms and causes are very important to our society. The symptoms of depression occur in each person differently, but are mostly similar. These symptoms include persistent feelings of sadness, pessimism, loss of interest, fatigue, insomnia, weight loss or weight gain, suicidal thoughts or actions, and an overwhelming feeling of worthlessness. As stated by Dr. John Grohl, a mental health expert, in 2016 from his article Warning Signs and Types of Depression, the most common type of depression is the major depressive disorder. The symptom of this is an overwhelming feeling of sadness for 2 weeks or longer. Dysthymia is a more chronic type of this, and its symptoms occur longer, sometimes even over 2 years. The adjustment disorder with depressive feelings occurs when adults are adjusting to their daily lives, even in a positive event such as getting married or buying a new house, and requires little treatment, even just positive support. The seasonal effects of major depressive disorder occur usually in winter. These are just a few of the types of depression that millions of people deal with each day, and depression itself can even be a symptom of mental illnesses such as bipolar. These occur because of the chemicals, neurons, and neurotransmitters in our brain, and this is why the symptoms of each person are very diverse. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that relay messages from neuron to neuron and are a major impact on depression. We can tell this because antidepressants increase the concentration of neurotransmitters in our brain, causing the symptoms to lessen. The problem is when receptors are sensitive or not sensitive enough to other neurotransmitters, and their response can be excessive or inadequate. These occur in 3 major parts in the brain: the amygdala, which is associated with anger, pleasure, sorrow, fear; the thalamus, which transfers sensory input to pleasurable or unpleasurable memories; and the hippocampus, which is associated with memory. According to the Harvard Medical Team in 2017, from the article Onset of Depression, More Complex Than a Brain Chemical Imbalance, stress is the number one culprit that affects transmitters. This is because they suppress the production of them. Genes also are a huge thing that affects depression. This is because they make proteins that alter the biology in our brains that can make us genetically vulnerable to stress. This is also what lets depression run in families. If you have a first-degree relative with depression, you have an increased risk of 1.5 to 3% of getting depression yourself. Other things that cause depression are temperament and trauma. Also, medical problems and medication are 10 to 15% of the root of all depressions. Medical problems that cause this are strokes, cancer, lupus, Alzheimer's, and hypothyroidism. Sometimes these may also switch places, and depression can be a cause of these. As therapist Hera Morano says in the article Depression, A Family Matter, wrote in 2002, therapists cannot even diagnose depression without the family. This is because the family is the caregivers of the patient and are crucial to the recognition and treatment of depression. They contribute to the emotional atmosphere in which the patient is placed and can also contribute greatly to their recovery. For example, if irritability occurs in the patient, conflicts may occur in the household. If negative thoughts are produced by the patient, overall pessimism may be in effect at that house. If the patient withdraws from the family, relationships can be broken, and an overall feeling of rejection can also be in place at that household. How the family handles these symptoms can affect how the recovery of the patient goes. In conclusion, depression is a serious mental illness that affects everyone and millions of families each year. Things like genetics, chemicals, and medical problems lead to depression, and the symptoms can be very serious. This is why depression needs awareness, and its symptoms and causes need more awareness. Become more educated about depression and make our society a safer place.